It's time for the Stock Car Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Powered by the staff at Race Chaser Online. Your motorsports, your way, every day. And now, here's your host, Tom Baker.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Stock Car Show, presented by our good friends at HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsports safety. You can find them on the web at HMS Motorsport, no S, hmsmotorsport.com. Welcome to tonight's episode. We have a pair of guests who will be joining us as the program goes on a little bit. We're going to talk with Sam Mayer, who is a member of the Team Chevy Driver's Edge Development Program. He also runs for GMS Racing in the K&N Pro East Series. And Saturday at Bristol, he just didn't want to share. He was not in a sharing mood. He led 150 out of 150 laps. He won practice. He won qualifying with a new track record. He won the race.
Oh, come on. You didn't do it right.
He won everything.
You didn't do it right. If you're going to say he won qualifying with a new track record, it's a new track record.
I'm so happy you didn't put all your voice into that. This, by the way, is Jacob Seelman from Speed Sport.
I was pretending to be Tom Carnegie just then, if you didn't know.
Yes, I caught that, except it was a K&N stock car race. So
I don't care. Tom Carnegie is the only one that gets to use those words.
Well, your voice isn't deep enough for that. But anyways,
whatever.
Randy Miller's behind the glasses I started to mention. He is a co-host and the producer on the audio side, and we have Chris Murdoch over there as well, punching all the buttons on our video portion of our show that we do, our Facebook Live on Race Chaser Media. Oh, by the way, if you have not liked or followed us yet, please do. We would appreciate that. It's Race Chaser Media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And, of course, also follow PMN Radio as well on Facebook and Twitter, because we are live on PMN Radio in addition to being live on our Race Chaser Media Facebook feed. So we get started here with some discussion of the weekend. I think we'll just touch real quickly on Bristol. We're going to cover a lot of ground tonight because Chris and I were actually at the Cars Tour race, 30,000 to win Cars Tour race in Orange County here in Rougemont, North Carolina over the weekend. Jacob was at Bristol at the NASCAR race.
It was.
Yeah, and so we'll cover both of those events, and we'll also talk some IndyCar at Barber, and we shall probably find two or three other things to talk about as well. And, of course, as I mentioned, we have a pair of guests, Sam Mayer and also Justin Bonsignore, who was the winner at Thompson in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour event, the Icebreaker at Thompson International Speedway, Motorsports Park, facility, road course,
thing,
clubhouse. That name gets longer every year.
Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park.
Oh, they dropped the international now? Because they had that in there for a little while back in the day.
Yeah, it was Thompson International Speedway, and then it became Thompson Speedway, and then it became Thompson Motorsports Park, and then for whatever reason they brought back Speedway and made it Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park.
So now that we got Thompson's official name out there,
yes,
it's a very fast 5A mile track is what it is, and we'll talk to Justin Bonsignore about his win there over the weekend. So, Bristol, we'll talk about the crowd after. I'm not going to get into all that right now because we don't have a whole lot of time to delve into it, though I do think it is worth some conversation a little bit later on. But what I want to talk about first is the fact that Kyle Busch ended up winning a race, and Kurt Busch, who was second, actually, I thought, overshadowed everything Kyle did winning with one single quote. I was going to wreck him.
Hang on. I was flat out going to wreck him.
I mean, I'm sitting here going, uh-oh, Grandma Thanksgiving dinner, maybe we could bring Grandma Busch to the All-Star race to have Kyle and Kurt. And, I wish he would have caught him because I would have loved to have seen what would have happened in that circumstance.
Oh, I would have too. Now, in fairness, he didn't, and Kyle won. But I love the Busch Brothers rivalry. Like,
well, I do too.
There's just something extra special about those two going at it. I just continue to be amazed by what both of them do. Kurt is bringing that one car further than it's been in years this year.
Yeah.
And Kyle just keeps doing Kyle things after his back bumper got wiped out on lap 1.5. I thought I thought his day was over at that point. And then 50 laps later, when he was back up to 15th, it's like, oh boy, we poked the bear.
Well, I love that Kurt poked the bear.
No. I mean the Kyle bear, because you got him mad after he got collected in a lap 1.5 wreck, and he came back and won.
Yeah.
But Kyle, in regards to the Kurt thing, Kyle did say after the race, you can't call your shot and then not back it up by failing to do it, because you basically gave the guy free he's like, you basically gave me free license to wreck you the next time I'm behind you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you knew Kyle was going to come back with that.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny. I think that I think having a Busch Brothers rivalry, if we could just get it to that point, I think would be really good for NASCAR.
We had it once.
Well, we did have it once, and it's been a while since Kurt. I mean, he's had his moments in his career with Stewart Haas, but they weren't as frequent as I think, obviously, either party would have liked. And he has certainly elevated the performance of the one car this year. And I think,
by all means,
yes. I think he's proving that car and Matt McCall are capable of going to the front and winning races.
I've known for a while Matt McCall was capable as a crew chief. I mean, it's not like he's done nothing in the garage area. I'm just not sure that Jamie McMurray was ever quite the right driver for him. I think Matt, being a racer himself, maybe needed somebody a little bit more aggressive, like a Kurt.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jamie was. I don't want to say that Jamie was in the twilight of his career, but I think Jamie was just a driver. I think Jamie was plenty aggressive. I think at times he was too aggressive and got himself in trouble. I think that's that to me feels like it's more accurate. But I think Kurt Busch had a point to prove this year, or at least in his mind, I think he did. And now I think he's kind of out for, he's got a goal of going to the front winning races. I don't think he is really too worried about making friends if it comes down to that. He's probably in his last year anyway. And so, I think he wants to go out on top.
If he keeps running like this, I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Well, I mean, I suppose he could sign for another year, but
if he keeps running like this, I think Chip is very inclined to sign him for another year.
Well, but will he want to? I mean, that's going to be the question.
Oh, will Kurt want to?
Yeah, I can't picture Kurt Busch being the kind of a driver who would want to go out past his prime. If he can be competitive and still run for wins and championships, I think he'll do it. But if it got to a point where Kurt sort of felt like maybe he just wasn't going to have enough in the tank for another year, I don't think he's just going to go out there and cruise around. I think Kurt went into this thinking that it was a one-year deal. I still believe that Ross Chastain is, at least if there is a draft board at Ganassi Racing, I think Ross Chastain still sits at the top.
To be at the top of it. Yeah.
And so I think this is going to be a question of when Kurt Busch steps out. And, you look at kind of who else is out there that could be a player for that car. And if it's at the end of this year, I don't think there's going to be anybody else who is elite who would sort of trump, if you pardon the expression, Ross Chastain, because, unless you think you can snag someone like Chris Bell, who basically refused to say, well, Chris said he wasn't sure Toyota was going to have a car for him at the end of this year.
At the Cup level, there's a difference.
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's where he's going. He is. I guarantee you 100%. And you can mark this date down, April 8, 2019. Coach Tom says Chris Bell ain't spending another year in Xfinity. Not going to happen. If they don't have an elite ride for him at Toyota, Chris Bell's going somewhere else where he can sign and win Cup races.
But Chris Bell won't go somewhere that's going to pay him less than what he's been being paid to do his dirt stuff through Toyota right now. Well, and he won't go anywhere that he can't run as much or more dirt stuff that he's running right now.
Chip Ganassi Racing.
Well, here's the deal. But here's the problem, though. If you leave Toyota, you don't get Toyota dirt stuff anymore, and that's the and that could be the key to Chris Bell being stuck at Toyota no matter what.
I just don't see Chris Bell accepting he's not going to a second Levine car. He's not going to.
Here's the deal. His comment to me after the Bristol Xfinity race. His comment to me was very telling. You know, he said to me afterwards, "I get to drive race cars for a living, regardless of what level that I'm at right now. That's fun for me. And at the end of the day, if having to spend one more year not in a Cup car means he gets to keep driving the cars he wants to drive, dirt, at a high level, then so be it," is the impression that I got.
Well, I mean, all I know is
But I know
what I saw. Quotes from him over the course of the week and weekend.
That was Friday, and I believe Chris felt after the Xfinity race that some of those quotes were taken out of context.
Well, we'll have to see. I just can't picture Chris stepping into a second-class ride in the Cup Series, and I also can't picture him waiting around when he knows he knows he can be in Cup and can be productive in Cup. Can't picture him waiting around for long enough for Toyota to decide or Joe Gibbs to decide that one of the Fab Four is exiting the ride. They're looking to re-sign Eric Jones, which means that the 20's off the market. And so, you know, to me, Denny Hamlin's winning races, Kyle Busch is winning races. You know, Martin Truex came over, hasn't won races, but certainly has been competitive enough to win races. He's 38, but he certainly could race 2 or 3 more years. So we'll have to see. Meanwhile, we're going to step aside, take a break. Josh Ray in our chat agrees with me, so we'll see where this goes. We'll be back. We got plenty more of the Stock Car Show coming up just around the turn. Stick around.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
Everywhere you go, you hear it, and you see it. It's coming at you through your phone, your tablet, and your computer. It's broadcast from your favorite radio station, TV networks, and cable companies. It's in the stadiums, the arenas, the ballparks. It screams for your attention at the mall. It's interactive on Main Street. It's even coming at you from the gas pump at the nearby convenience store. What is it? It's digital content. It's digital content. It's digital content. Somebody has to create it. Somebody has to manage it. So whether your dream is to write it, design it, create it, call it, produce it, voice it, host it, light it, shoot it, switch it, record it, color correct it, edit it, code it, repurpose it, tweet it, blog it, post it, compress it, upload it, replay it, or make sure it gets to where it's got to go when it's got to get there in the format it's got to be in, you need to attend Carolina School of Broadcasting. The skills you will learn, the experience you will get, and the connections you will make at Carolina School of Broadcasting will open the doors to the career you want in digital content creation and digital content management. Call or come by today. Click csbradiotv.edu.
Here at Lewis Meineke, we're more than just your average car care center. Hey, it's Dave, your neighbor from Lewis Meineke. Whether you need an oil change, brakes, tires, or anything under the hood, we've got you covered. Take advantage of our free check engine light service as well. Yes, free. And don't forget about our free shuttle service. Never stress, we'll take care of the rest. on with life. Give us a call at Lewis Meineke, 302-827-2054.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
I'm Kaz Gralla, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Hey, guess what?
Guess what? What?
The ice cream car's back this week.
The ice cream car?
Yes, the spicy ice cream car.
Oh, really?
Back. Yep.
Very nice.
Yep.
That's spicy ice cream. And Kaz Gralla, of course, having that. It's called Hot Scream, I guess I should point out.
Yes, it is.
And it's ice cream, which is very interesting.
See, it's funny because I think Chris was miming and Randy didn't have the microphone turned.
Randy didn't want Chris to use his mic, so he muted him.
Well, I was going to say Tom and I saw the ice cream truck last week.
Hey, Chasm had a really fun comment today. He told Kaz, you ought to just have a setting in the car that it plays the ice cream jingle when you're driving.
I could picture Kaz doing that, too.
Oh, I totally could. I think it'd be great.
That'll be a lot of fun to see that.
It will be.
See that car back and to see Kaz back. And, oh, by the way, as long as we're talking, I guess drivers returning to series had a chance to catch up with the now fifth member of the Thor Sport Racing team, Myatt Snyder, over the weekend. He was racing at Orange County. He said he has no plans right now for further truck action. So still working on stuff for later in the year.
Okay, so I'll clarify that because Myatt addressed this right after the Martinsville truck race a couple weeks ago. It's not that he has no plans for further truck races. It's just that they haven't put the next one on the schedule yet. They know they have a couple more in their pocket that the funds are, the sponsorship is there to be able to do. It's just they're trying to be strategic about where they put them in the schedule.
I see. Well, his exact quote to me was that I have nothing further planned for the truck series.
Well, Myatt's always been coy about that schedule. And when he told Matt Weaver back in January before the start of the season that he had a handful of truck races.
Interesting. Okay, well, good. Happy to hear that. So look forward to that. Anyways, back to the Cup race. So Kyle Busch ended up winning. I heard so many people over the weekend complaining about the product. First of all, it's not a product. It's a race. It's not a vacuum cleaner. It's not, a copywriting service. It's a competition.
Yes.
And, all right, NASCAR on the mile and a half, they still got a ways to go here. But the product at Bristol yesterday was absolutely great. And, I understand they had a crowd issue. Like I said, we'll deal with that later in the show, because I have some thoughts on that, and we don't have time really to go through them here in full because we have a guest in our next segment. But
indeed.
But the product itself, and you were there, Jacob. You saw this, all of this race.
I did.
I only saw highlights after I got back from Orange County. The product itself was fantastic, and it was a little bit sort of outside the norm. I mean, there were some strange events in the race. There were some different things that happened in the race. I don't know what people are looking for.
Yeah. There was one point in both the Xfinity race and the Cup race on Saturday and Sunday, respectively, where you had 4 cars under a blanket, double wide, 2 rows deep, fighting for the lead. At Bristol.
2 legitimate grooves.
Yes.
I mean,
it was great.
I understand all the people my age. We remember back to the days when you couldn't pass somebody without bumping them out of the way.
I'm sorry, but bump and runs don't, a track of nothing but bump and runs doesn't always make for good racing.
Well, and it's also a different time and place. You have you have cars now. Back in those days, you had maybe a handful of really, really good cars, and the rest of them were fighting for space. So this handful of really, really good cars were wanting to beat each other, and so
Yeah.
they would go and move all of the not as good cars out of the way in order to. I mean, I get it. You had Earnhardt rattling Terry Labonte's cage, but this is a different situation. This race was legitimately a 2-wide race with a lot of different leaders, a lot of different lead changes, a lot of racing through the pack. It looked like in what little bit I saw. Not an overabundance of caution flags.
No, and some
8 or 10,
and some surprise guys being able to make really solid runs through the field during the
yes.
day. Matt DiBenedetto.
I was going to
up
point
in the
that
top,
out. Yes.
6 to 9 for
Matty
a good
Ice.
portion of the day. Chris Buescher was in the top 6 to 9 and should have easily gotten a top 10 finish if not for I think it was a loose wheel that forced him down pit road. Was like 30 to go, either a loose wheel or a flat tire, one or the other. But he had to make an unscheduled pit stop very late that took him out of what was basically a sure top 10 finish. That 37 team had an awesome day going, as did DiBenedetto. And for me, though, the true testament to people being able to move through and get things done is the guy who, after he failed inspection 3 times on Sunday and had to not only start at the back but serve a pass-through penalty under green at the start of the race, became the luckiest son of a gun in the state of Tennessee when he caught a caution on lap 1.5.
Yep.
To prevent him from going even further down than he already was. And number 2 still had an issue that made him make another unscheduled pit stop under green and came back from being almost 5 laps down at one point in that race.
5 laps down.
Not totally 5, almost 5.
4.5.
Yes.
Laps down.
4.5 laps down. And
Make
he
it
came
5.
back and somehow finished on the lead lap in 13th.
And again, if you've got that fast a car and enough green flag laps to help you,
that car
then,
was
you can do that.
Stupid fast.
You take advantage of pit strategy and situations that happen on the racetrack. And I thought, there again, Kevin Harvick is no stranger to short track racing, and he's good at it. And so if you give him a race car, he's going to race it. And I honestly believe right now that Kevin Harvick probably, had he not had those issues, Kevin Harvick probably runs away or at least challenges Kyle Busch for the win. But, again, it was a great race. Regardless of anything else, it was a great race. And people say, well, yeah, but it's only one. What about the rest of the season? We're only talking about Bristol right now. So, I mean, I think the racing, for the most part this year, has been better than it was last year.
I would agree. Oh, by the way, speaking of better than it was last year, how about Bristol being better than it's ever been? Both quality passes and passes for the lead under green flag conditions. At Bristol on Sunday, that race set records.
Really?
Since the inception of loop data.
Okay.
Which was 2005, I think. So this was statistically the most competitive race at Bristol since the inception of loop data in 2005.
Well, there you go. So, since only 2005. Okay, well,
but
they'll say.
I was going to say before 2005, I don't remember a race being that competitive at Bristol.
Well, there were a lot of great races at Bristol. A lot of close finishes,
races,
obviously.
Great races, yes, but not necessarily. I don't ever remember one with that much passing.
Well, there probably wasn't,
day.
but again, I keep hearing people. And it's all, it's not nothing is like it used to be.
Dang.
There isn't anything in racing, period. I don't care if it's sprint cars, super modifieds, Indy cars, Formula One, nothing is what it used to be. And there are a number of different reasons for that. Technology is the biggest one. Technology, to me, has really changed the sport. And in the safety sort of way, it's been great. But in the competition sort of way, I think it's taken away a lot from the sport because, for number one, it's driven the cost through the roof. I don't care what division it is. Number two, it's also made the racing different because we're more focused on point and shoot in a lot of classes, including NASCAR. Everything, they're all stuck to the racetrack. So it's very hard to go past the limit and spin it out
Yeah.
You got to work really hard to do that. Excuse me. And even on the short track level, you have a situation where even the dirt late models now are becoming more downforce oriented. The bodies are changing and such. So, even that division, which used to be kind of a sacred cow, and one of the last sort of pure divisions, they're becoming more orientated toward downforce and technology. And I don't think, honestly, that it really does anyone any good. So, I don't think all of this is totally I don't think a race like we had yesterday, to me, that's the way racing ought to be. Okay, maybe it wasn't a one groove, spin them out of the way, put them in the wall, make them all mad kind of Bristol race. But Kevin Harvick coming back from over 4 laps down is a show. And nobody's talking about it except us, it seems like. So, interesting. Okay, we are going to take a break. I think, is it Sam Mayer that starts us off?
Indeed.
Sam Mayer will be our guest in the next segment. And Sam I Am is going to talk about
what he did.
Yeah, how he slammed the competition the other day at Bristol and never probably touched a car. But he made them all look bad, led every lap. We're going to ask him about it right around the turn when we come back on the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport. Stick around.
Media sales professionals with agency experience. If you're frustrated with your current position, unrealistic quotas, and inept management, if you're a sales machine and you simply will not take no as an acceptable reply, if you're looking for a rapidly growing company with unlimited sales potential for commissions in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're searching for a high-tech, forward-looking, laid-back, but extremely professional organization who appreciate your skills and dedication, we have your next opportunity. Scorpion Radio Group is building a sales team of self-starters who are motivated. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444 or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. That's 717-749-0444 and ask for Sue.
Is your job sucking the life out of you? Wake up. You can do something else. Information technology. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not a math or science person. No excuses, no problem. It's not rocket science. It's my computer career. Helping people start an IT career is their thing. If you don't absolutely love what you do, go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You can start your new life as an information technology professional in as little as 4 months. Attend classes on campus or live online just 2 or 3 times a week to get what you'll need to start your new career. More than just a school, My Computer Career helps you get into the industry by working with hundreds of employers that hire their students. My Computer Career is nationally accredited and financial aid is available for those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Classes start soon, so go take the career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication, but it's those tough choices that help me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
How to deal with someone who says that's so gay. Outsmart them.
This party is like so gay. Totally.
Excuse me, but did you ladies know the word gay used to mean happy or excited? Then it became a word used to describe gay people. Then somehow it came to mean dumb or stupid, which is how you just used it, which is not very nice.
Ew, that guy is on the football team and super smart, and he totally hates us now. Totally.
When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off. Learn more at thinkbeforeyouSpeak.com.
Hi, I'm Tyler Reddick, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show. Tyler Reddick, once again, kickstarting his car's heart.
See, I'm confusing you guys all the heck tonight, aren't I?
Well, it's fine with me. I love the song, and and enjoy. Of course, I'm thankful that Motley Crue's retired because, boy, the last tour, Vince Neil's voice was a little bit rough. Anyway, welcome back to the show. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman.
I'm surprised you didn't mention Tyler Reddick's wig.
We'll get to that later.
Oh, please.
I want to get to our phone guest. I'll
Okay.
finish introducing Randy Miller and Chris Murdoch behind the glass, and then we go to the strutmasters.com hotline, and we bring in Sam Mayer, who is the winner of Saturday's K&N Pro E Series race at Bristol. And Sam, I got to tell you, bud, for somebody who is in his first year with a new program running the K&N Pro Series full-time for the first time and going to a track like Bristol, you sure did make sure that nobody else had a chance, didn't you?
I mean, everyone at GMS brought probably the best car possible, so I really didn't have a big excuse not to go out and win. But, I mean, winning like that at a great track like Bristol, it truly does mean a lot. And, it was pretty surprising, and honestly, the momentum we have now is pretty crazy. So, looking forward to going to South Boston next.
Talk a little bit about the weekend, because it doesn't get much more perfect than the weekend you had. I mean, you basically won everything there was to win. I mean, did you go out in the camping area and play some cornhole and win some of that or anything, or did you just win everything on the racetrack?
We definitely did do really well this weekend, and I mean, I feel like once we unloaded, we were pretty free overall, but I mean, a couple adjustments and we were right there, and went to the top of the board pretty late in the first practice, but I mean, we were there, and second practice, the car was just as good at night, and I mean, during the race, it never changed at all, so I mean, everyone at GMS brought the best car possible, and I mean,
Yes, so.
It would have been fun to go out and play some cornhole for sure, but never got a chance to do that.
Well, I had to go that way because we can't
Yeah.
say, go out and win a beer drinking contest because you're about 5 or 6 years too young for that. So not yet for that part, Jacob. But
No,
he
no.
certainly did a great job. You were there. What did it look like from your point of view, other than domination?
It looked like a clinic. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to circle back to what I asked Sam on Saturday, and now that you've had a couple days to think about it, Sam, I mean, was it the car? Was it a feel that you found in the track that fit your driving style? I mean, what was it, or was it just a lot of little things that made you guys that good, that consistently all weekend?
I mean, like early on in the weekend, like when the Xfinity cars went out and like all the big cars went out, the bottom wasn't there at all. Like if you went down there, you would get so free, and you just couldn't keep the car on the bottom and couldn't get any drive. So, I mean, the top was definitely where you wanted to be. But I mean, when our race came around, I don't know. I guess we just don't have enough of like horsepower and all that to use the top. But we need to be right around the bottom, and just the consistency of the car. When it was down there, and like I'd say about 20 laps in, we just found that one little area in 1 and 2 that like the car would not leave the bottom if I tried. Like it was so good on the bottom there that I mean, we got such good drive off the corners and good turn. It could not have been better.
That's awesome.
And as everybody knows, after a Bristol race, you got to bring home a sword. I asked you Saturday, and you said you were going to have to figure out because you were running out of space. Did you find some space in your room for the sword?
So a couple details. I had to fly home, and I don't think taking a sword on a plane would be the best idea.
Fair.
So
I could see the end of the...
left it with the team for the week, but when we go to Salem this weekend, they're going to bring it up so we can get some space. But, I mean, I have a couple Legend Car trophies sitting out here, and I probably could lean it against them somewhere. But definitely going to have to find some more space somewhere else in the house for sure.
That's, at the end of when you land, and,
yeah.
The flight attendant, says, please check around your seating area for anything you might have brought on board. And Sam looks and goes, oh, yeah, my sword. Like that would make your next seat neighbor quite comfortable, I'm sure.
Oh, not at all.
Who is this kid? Okay, Sam. Before we can circle back to Bristol, but I want to also touch on some racing that you did prior to that, because you actually got to go run in the Trans Am Series at Road Atlanta, and I want to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean Road Atlanta is honestly one of the coolest tracks I've been to so far. I mean, going down the hill, turn 12 under the bridge is probably one of the coolest corners I've ever been a part of. And I mean, we unfortunately lost the cylinder halfway through the race, but with that said, I was able to go flat out through that corner, so that was pretty fun. But Scott Legacy Racing brought probably a really good piece, and I mean, we had a fast car, and we were able to keep up with a lot of the top guys in that series. Just unfortunately lost a little bit of power in the engine.
What was it like to run a Trans Am car after, obviously, the bulk of your experience lately being in heavier stock cars? What, from a feel aspect, what's the difference from the driver point of view? Because I'm sure it's pretty big, right?
The steering definitely was more like a super late model. It was really quick and twitchy, and the throttle response was really quick as well. But I mean, really, it felt a lot like a K&N car at like the Glen, where you would have a lot of speed and have to carry a lot of speed everywhere. But I mean, it was a blast to drive, and Scott Legacy Racing, it was fun being with them for a weekend, and I'm excited to go back racing with them next time we go out there.
What is a week in the life of Sam Mayer like right now? I mean, is this a 15-year-old's dream to be able to run the amount of different cars that you're getting to run, and just, you know, back and forth, it seems like, across the country every chance you get?
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty crazy life right now. I mean, I have a lot of schoolwork, and being online school helps me keep up with all that. But I mean, I have workouts each day for Josh Wise with my trainer, and then I got to watch video for the next race coming up. So I just got a lot of prep work during the week each day just to get ready for the race weekend.
So here's the fun part, Tom. When the Sword finally gets back up to Wisconsin with him,
yeah,
he ought to play. He ought to figure out a way to play show and tell and bring the Sword to show all his schoolmates.
Yeah, let's see if we can get into school with a big giant sword. It's a trophy, I swear.
There's writing on it, I promise.
Yeah, I won it at Bristol. Where? Bristol. Oh, what's that? That's that would be
Wisconsin or what?
Yeah, exactly. That would be pretty crazy to bring a sword to school for show and tell that you just won at Bristol for a trophy.
Fair.
Unique, though.
Yes. Well, and see, that's exactly the word I was going to for my next question. Is the Bristol Sword the most unique trophy out of everything you've won so far in your career?
I'd say so. It's right up there. I have one trophy from Legend Cars from the Shamrock Shuffle, and it has like a really weird-looking leprechaun.
There you go.
Nutcracker on it. So
it's an Irish trophy.
It's pretty interesting, but yeah, definitely probably one of the coolest for sure.
Is it green?
Very. But there's about 15 different shades of green on it.
There you go.
What was your takeaway? Because I know you had only been to Bristol one other time in the late model for the Short Track U.S. Nationals last year. But what were your takeaways from Bristol in the K&N car?
I mean, it's pretty different than what the Xfinity race and what looked like the Cup race turned out. So, takeaway-wise, you just gotta. It's about being consistent, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you miss your mark by like 6 inches, you're not gonna be able to turn well, and you're gonna be loose off, and you just gotta hit your line and hit your marks. And I think that's the biggest takeaway is just being consistent, like really straightforward with your line, and don't mess up, really.
Was there any point during that race that you were really concerned, besides maybe the final restart, about somebody coming at you from behind?
I mean, the final restart was definitely one of the more nerve-wracking ones, just because it was much closer than the previous restarts. But I mean, once I got clear, like 2 laps into that run, I mean, the car was so good that we were able to just get away and just log laps, really. But it was a great race. It was really fun, just getting that clean track and getting past all the lap cars and being smart, really.
If you're just joining us, we're talking to Sam Mayer, who won the K&N Pro Series East race at Bristol this past Saturday. We've got Justin Bonsignore coming up next for Modified Conversation. Sam, we don't want to let you get away here without asking you to talk about who helps you make all this happen, because we know there's a lot of people that go into making up your schedule and a number of different types of cars.
I mean, first off, I got to thank my dad for helping me out and just getting me started on this path. And, I mean, everyone at GMS Racing and Maury Gallagher, the race team owner, Chevrolet, I mean, everyone out there who helped support me, put the program together, the Driver's Edge program. It's helped me so much, and I've learned so much, and physically I'm definitely a lot better. And I got to thank my crew chief, Marty Lindley, for just, I mean, being honestly one of the best of the best. He has the best crew. Everyone on the race team is so awesome, and I got to thank God for giving me this opportunity to go out and show my skills.
So before we let you go, Sam, I'm going to. He may or may not have told you this on Saturday after the race, but I got just a minute to steal Spencer Gallagher aside in Victory Lane while you were busy getting your picture taken. I said, "What do you think?" And Spencer looks at me and goes, "Well." If he keeps running like that, I might threaten to put him in a cup car before too long.
I mean, cup car is the ultimate goal for sure, but I mean, I'm just going to enjoy my time learning and getting better and better and better and just going out and trying to win some races. But it's pretty funny Spencer said that because he said that to me too.
Well, congratulations on a huge win, Sam. Where are you racing next?
We're off this weekend to Salem, Indiana for the ARCA race.
Okay, so now we'll find Sam Mayer in the ARCA Menard Series at Salem.
ARCA.
Yeah, ARCA, if you're from Boston. Good luck, Sam. We appreciate you taking some time to come on tonight, and if you win the ARCA race, we'll bring you back.
Heck yeah, thank you.
All right, that's Sam Mayer. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we're going to talk ground bounders. The Modified Tour was at Thompson over the weekend, running the icebreaker, and Justin Bonsignore picked up the win, and he's the defending champion, so we're bringing him back onto the program to talk about it. We'll be back with Justin right around the turn. Stay with us. You're listening to the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What?
No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm going to do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time.
What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schuberth helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing: making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper car, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hey, this is Garrett Smithley, driver of the number nothing Chevrolet for JD Motorsports, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Hey, Garrett had a nice run in the Xfinity race, at least for a little while on Saturday. He was right up there in the top 10 for a bit, so it was good to see Garrett with a little bit of speed in that number nothing. We need to go to the strutmasters.com phone line and introduce our next guest. We always love talking modifieds on this show. It's something that is about as special as it gets for us. We just we love the division, and I'll let you introduce our next guest, Jacob, because
Thank you.
Well, I can.
Yes, and because I asked. So
you weren't supposed to say that, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's okay. Anyway,
it's supposed to be spontaneous.
We have defending NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour champion Justin Bonsignore on the strutmasters.com hotline, who kind of sort of did a thing over the weekend by winning the Thompson Icebreaker again. But that's not the point I want to start with. Justin, you won the race. That means everything's supposed to be happy. What the heck are you doing poking the bear that is Doug Coby on Twitter? Come on now.
Hey guys, pleasure to be on. We like to have fun back and forth with each other, and Twitter's a good place to do that and get the fans involved and just get people having fun and enjoying what it's all about. It's all in good fun between him and I and Ryan and whoever else wants to chime in, but it's mostly me and Doug going back and forth, or me and Doug picking on Ryan. But they got me pretty good today.
Well, I tremendously enjoyed that thread. I must admit, I do believe my favorite point was you reviving Ryan's quote from Loudon, where it didn't cross your mind to lift.
Yeah, but it's all in good fun, like I said. So the guys, we text back and forth with each other after all that, and it's just a good time, and fans seem to have a good time with it too. So just lighthearted, good heart, picking on each other.
I don't think enough people really realize the personalities that are involved in the Wheel and Modified Tour.
No.
Everybody focuses on the other national series, and they should pay more attention to you guys in the Wheeling Tour, Justin, because that's the kind of thing that goes on all the time. And, you and Coby are just a ball to follow and even to interview, and it's just a lot of fun. That you guys on the tour really do put on a great show, whether it's on the track or off.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the big part of it. Everybody wants to, see the personalities and the behind the scenes of drivers. So, we like to have fun with each other, but at the same time, I at least respect Doug and his team a lot and give them credit where their credit's due, and still look at them as a team to beat every week when we go racing. And I can say Doug does give us our credit where we deserve it as well too. So we're going to be battling hard for many more years, and we like to have fun at the same time. And it's just one of those series where you can have that. It's still just a weekend series for people. We all have normal jobs during the week, but when we put our helmets on and we strap in, we're going to race each other's guts out.
So let's circle back now to the race on Sunday, because as you guys referenced on Twitter, it had a bit of a crazy ending, but for you, it ended up in making a little bit of history in the process, as you very loudly exclaimed when you got out of the car. I loved Kyle Souza's point that he didn't think, and I agree with him, that I've never heard you like that when you came out of that car and screamed 5 in a row, because nobody has ever done at Thompson what you did on Sunday in winning 5 consecutive tour races. I'm honestly still trying to wrap my head around that to be quite frank, because the run you guys have put together at that place is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the excitement was there for sure. I was really ecstatic crossing the line. We just haven't got off to a great start, so we were adamant about coming home and having a good run. And Doug and I were really close all weekend. He had us maybe by a half a tenth, pretty much all weekend in practice, qualifying, and in the race. We went back and forth for a while on lap times in the beginning, and his car kind of was a little better at the end of the first run, but I knew we just needed to get to the pit stop, and we've been really, really strong when we put that option tire on at the pit stops. They've been getting a lot better and a lot closer. I think it was going to be a dogfight. I'm not saying we were going to win the race by any means, but we were going to race each other's guts out for sure. I haven't had much luck, whether it's our doing or not. We just haven't had the things go our way. So unfortunate for them and their team, but we're going to take them any way we can get them, and it definitely made it a little bit easier. But it still was no hammy. The 58 was 58 and 85 were right there with us. We were just trying to do what we had to do to get it back to victory lane.
How important, you mentioned that pit stop there at lap 108, I think it was, under the caution for Catalano. How critical was that for you to be able to beat Doug off pit road and get into clean air? Because it seemed like once your car got to clean air, you were lights out.
Well, I mean, we didn't beat him off pit road. He got the pit penalty for running the hose over. But, we had such a gap getting to him because of the lap cars in between us on pit road. We actually had a really good stop. We gained a lot of gap on him on pit road, but unfortunately we just couldn't pass him on pit road. It would have been nice to, if there was no penalty, it would have been nice to beat him off of pit road and control the restart. I think it was going to be really tough heads up between the two of us. Whoever got the lead was going to, make it a lot tougher on the other person, because I think we were really evenly matched, especially for a 40-lap run. We were going to have a hell of a battle, but you got to take them any way you can get them, and if they can come a little easier sometimes, you'll take them. So, and to be able to win the fifth one in a row, we haven't really been dominant as far as leading all the laps at during this stretch at Thompson, but we've been in position every time, whether the guys got us out in the lead after the pit stop, or other teams faltered. That's the second time that I can remember now. Actually, both icebreakers, where another team kind of just handed us some track position and made it a little bit easier. So you got to be in position in these races, and my guys do a great job of all that. That starts right from being in the shop and coming prepared with reliable cars and cars that are really fast, and we can just fine tune them during practice to look for what the feel that we know we need for the race, at lap 50 or 60. So it's just a total team effort, and we can't do it without Ryan Stone and the group of guys we have behind him.
Okay, Mitch Brown in our chat on Facebook wants us to ask you about the fan club that you had at the fence during the driver intros on Sunday. I'm hoping there's a great, funny story there.
I don't know if that story can be told on the air here, but yeah, we had some fans there. They were enjoying themselves, so we'll leave it at that. But yeah, they were having some fun.
Well, it's always a good time at a modified race, especially up in New England. That it really is the hotbed for the division, and has been for a number of years, at least, in the North. Talk a little bit about where it goes from here, because obviously you're now back in the winner's circle and hopefully back in the game here after kind of we'll say a rough start to the season, to be sure. So, where do you go from here, Justin, and can you maintain this? Because I feel like there's more competition on the tour this year than there has been even in recent years.
Yeah, we had an unbelievable year last year. I think we kind of caught people off guard with the switch to LFR and Ryan coming on board. And, we worked really hard and had a great season. But, it was the same thing that we did for all those years when Doug was winning. We worked really hard. And, that's what everybody's doing now, is to work hard to catch us. And, obviously the 2 is right there with us. I think the 85 has been really, really good all year so far. They had a
Yeah.
little bit of bad luck in Myrtle Beach too, but I think the competition is definitely up. It's not going to be a cakewalk, I don't think, this year for any team. I'm really thinking that it's going to be a dogfight all year, and I'm confident that we'll be one of those people in that fight each week. It's nice to get that first win of the year out of the way early. It's a nice way to kind of, I hate to say stop the bleeding, but we were having a tough start there, and some of it was all self-inflicted between just a bad pit call at Myrtle Beach to go for the gusto and winner take all type of strategy, and at South Boston I got us wrecked early. So we've had speed at both races, so to come off the truck with a lot of speed and fast cars is important, and but the Tour is definitely on the uptick right now. You got guys like Tommy Catalano has led laps at both races. He was really, really fast at South Boston. It's just so many cars that are going to be there every week on a consistent basis, and you got a lot of part-time guys. Like look at Chase Dowling jumped in Jamie's car.
Yeah, no doubt.
Was really fast. So and now the 85 looks like they're going to be a full-time team, and they've been really good too.
That's great.
And then the 58, he's had a lot of bad luck over the last year or so, and they had a good run. So you can go down the whole list, and it's going to be a hell of a battle, I think, all year, and I think it should be a lot of fun for the fans, and hopefully we can pack all the grandstands at every racetrack.
I wanted to dovetail kind of off what you were just alluding to, Justin, before we go to break, because put your fan hat on for the Tour for a second. Has it been kind of a pleasant surprise for you and Doug, the guys who have been in this fight for 5-6 years now, to suddenly see guys like Patrick Emmerling or a Burt Myers or even a Chris Pastriak that haven't been potential title contenders in the past, sitting there in a position to potentially make a run at this year and even add to that pool even more?
Yeah, I mean, those are guys that you don't even know if they're going to run full time, and now they've had strong starts. Excuse me. It just makes it even better, and there's at least a dozen cars with the right circumstances that could win at any given time, and I think it shows. The fields have been up. The purses are up. Doing a good job with NASCAR, and the grandstands have been full at all three races so far. The crowd at Thompson this weekend was amazing. South Boston, they were sitting in lawn chairs all the way around the place, and Myrtle Beach had their best crowd so far for the Tour event. So there's a lot of positives right now. Obviously, there's always things that you wish that could be a little better, but I think things are trending in the right direction. I think NASCAR's doing a really good job. They took some motors yesterday to kind of make sure everybody's up on the up and up, and make sure this spec program is as close as they want it to be. So I think that'll be a good thing, and keeps everybody honest all year. And I think things are really good right now in our series. We just and also the fans' choice being at every race is going to just open us up to more markets. And there's people on the West Coast or the Midwest that might not know what a tour car is, and they can watch us now on a weekly basis. So I think it's a lot of good things going on, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Well, we certainly appreciate you being a part of it. We're thankful that you were a part of the show again tonight, and congratulations on the win at Thompson. We hope that this is a momentum changer for you for going forward, and we look forward to having you back again.
Thanks, guys. So it's a pleasure to be on. It means we're doing good things. So hopefully we get to talk to you guys real soon.
Absolutely. Again. We're going to sneak one more question in here before I go to break, because we just got one in the chat. Real quick, what do you think about the Tour mounts going to Wall Stadium this year?
I'm optimistic. It's going to be fun for sure. Wall's a great track to go and run at. It can be frustrating at times, like any other bull ring that we run. But they get great crowds down there at the Turkey Derby, so I think it's going to be standing room only that night.
Agree.
And I always like that we can get to not new tracks, but return to some tracks that we haven't been doing in a long time, and get to different areas of the region up here. We got a lot of support from Jersey fans and Jersey teams with guys like Jimmy and Barney and Andrew Krause. So hopefully there'll be a good crowd there that night and a full field of cars. It's going to be we're going to beat the crap out of each other for 150 laps, but it should be a good race.
My 2 cents about that race, Tom, is if Justin can go out and beat Jimmy Blewett, he's probably going to win the race.
Absolutely, yeah. That's definitely a guy to watch there for sure. Justin Bonsignore, everybody, and we'll be back with more of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety, right after this.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
If you're a gearhead and you just can't get enough of your favorite motorsports on that channel on the cable, or you look at that Guy network and you just go, what does that have to do with me? We have the answer. Performance Motorsports Network. Right here on the internet. The best cruise and tunes, the best in motorsports programming, and the best shows. We have opinionated hosts, and we like it that way. If you want to get involved, if you want to bench race, be listening for information coming up soon right here on this channel, the Performance Motorsports Network. Your source for motorsports.
Strutmasters.com is the proud sponsor of NHRA Top Fuel driver Clay Milliken. If you own a luxury car or SUV, eventually your high-tech suspension system is going to fail. And when it happens, call or click Strutmasters.com for an American-made suspension conversion system that solves the problem for a fraction of what you'd pay at the dealer. And the only thing faster than the service you'll get at Strutmasters.com is Clay Milliken stomping on that loud pedal.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
These tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
Hi, I'm Timmy Salamito, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Interesting timing there.
Yeah, kind of was actually.
Can we use that as an excuse to keep talking about the modifieds for a minute?
I don't need an excuse to keep talking about modifieds.
Okay, then I'm gonna use it as an excuse anyways.
Well, go ahead.
So we were talking about this a little bit during the break, but want to raise the discussion on the air that between Doug Coby, who continues to lead the points through the first 3 races of the year, and Justin Bonsignore, who catapulted himself from 17th to 7th in the championship with his victory in the icebreaker on Sunday, there are 5 guys who I don't think any of us would have pegged as even potential full-time competitors in this NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour Championship.
No, good point. Let alone being where they are in points.
Yeah, let alone being where they are with a shot to, this is going to force some people to make some decisions. And I think right now, chief among them are the guys who are 2nd and 4th in the standings. Patrick Emmerling, who traditionally runs the Race of Champions Modified Tour. and Burt Myers, who we've known for so many years as the king of Bowman Gray. And, his sponsors that support him for so many years at the stadium. And this is a question I'm going to raise with both Burt and Eddie Harvey when I get a chance to talk to them this week, because sitting where they're sitting, 8 points out of the championship lead, you've got to, at this point, I would say if you can keep the run going, at least sit down with your sponsors and consider making a run at it. Don't
I
you?
agree,
If
100%.
You've got to think about it at the very least. And to be quite frank, I don't know that either Burt or Eddie would have expected to be in this position through 3 races.
And I think that's really the
They've
deal
run
here.
very well. They've run
to
very
me,
well.
In Burt's situation, first of all, he's not 20, right? So how many more times would you have an opportunity to go and win a NASCAR Whelen Tour Championship and put yourself into that record book? I think
he's got 2 in the South, but there's a difference between the South Tour and what I call the True Tour.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because NASCAR never really developed the Whelen Southern Tour the way that the Northern or the Whelen Modified Tour was. They never really put the time and effort into that and the promotion into, trying to drum up cars, et cetera. I believe if I'm Burt Myers, I'm looking at this and saying, well, Bowman Gray Stadium isn't going anywhere.
No.
It'll be there next year. It'll wait for him. And he won't have to miss the whole season.
Right. It all comes down to whether his sponsors that traditionally support him at Bowman Gray would be willing for him to miss any conflicting races to go run for a tour title. And I think, we know for sure he's actually, I'm going to pull up the schedule just to see what does conflict, but I believe we know for sure he's running the Sizzler, so that's at least one more race that he'll get out of this for sure before he would have to think about it here. The Sizzler there at the end of
that's
the
at
end
Stafford,
of April.
the Spring Sizzler. For those who, if you're listening to this show and you don't know the modifieds really well, the Icebreaker at Thompson and the Spring Sizzler at Stafford for modified fans and teams are sacred. They're huge races that have been going on forever, and some of the greatest drivers in the history of modified racing have won them. I think including Richie Evans, I believe, has won both races.
Right.
So, what do you come up with there?
So, well, this is where it gets interesting because there's a pair. There's twin 25s for the modifieds on the for the Bowman Gray modifieds on the Saturday of Sizzler weekend. But you would have to wonder if perhaps somebody else could practice and qualify the car, and then Burt be able to make it up in time to start on Sunday if Eddie were willing to bring the tour car up there. Then he, I think, gets lucky maybe on May 18th. It doesn't look like there's a modified race on the 18th. I'll double check on that. But then you get into the bulk of June and you've got
I'm sure
got Seekonk. The midweek show at Thompson isn't a concern.
No.
It's going to be interesting.
I would guess there's probably at least 3, maybe
3 or 4.
Four
It
conflicts.
just it just comes down to if there's a path forward for him to be able to make it up there to start the Sizzler, even if he has to come from the back. I think it all comes down to if you run the Sizzler, how do you shake out in points at the end of the Sizzler? And then, you really have to make a decision.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he's, again, for me, I would want to, if I could. If the sponsors would allow it, I would want to take a shot at this if I could. As long as he was in the hunt, in the championship hunt, as long as he stays up there in the points and has a chance, and if he can run up front and continue to be competitive on the tour, again, how many more chances are you going to get to do this? I mean, this could be a real crown jewel in the career of Burt Myers if he can go to the Whelen Tour and win the championship, and Eddie Harvey as well.
I believe this is going to be a really tough decision.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, sponsors are going to play a part in this, and I know that the Bowman Gray, ever since the question about Wall Stadium on the show, I can't get it off my mind.
Wall Stadium is the northern stadium.
Yeah, exactly. Ever since the Bowman Gray stadium crowd became aware of who Burt Myers was, and that's been a long time, I feel like, they would have a hard time seeing him not there on a regular basis, but I also think that they'd be happy for him if he's running competitive on the tour and be cheering him on.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
it might get some of the folks from down here to travel up for some of those shows
Perhaps,
this summer if they take a vacation
absolutely.
or whatever. Yeah.
It's interesting. So
it is.
Between Burt, Emmerling's another one who I really believe that if Emmerling, that's a funding thing, just because he's so far removed. It's so much of a travel situation for him to some of the races. But, good grief, he's second in points to Doug Coby now. If I'm Patrick Emmerling, I can't pass that up.
Here may be the key to Patrick Emmerling's decision here. Mm-hmm. The Race of Champions Tour really isn't much of a tour this year. There just isn't much going on there. They're really struggling. So Patrick might be in a position, again, as long as he's competitive and has a chance at the championship, to just basically take his entire racing budget and,
put it towards
all in on a long shot kind of thing, as long as he's, got an option. And Patrick is a very strong driver. Again, not well known to the wheeling folks and most of the modified fans around the country, but to those of us who are from the New York area, New York, Pennsylvania area, where the Race of Champions Tour and, we know all of those tracks in Western New York, like Spencer and all of those tracks that Patrick runs at, used to run at. I think, he's a driver that we all would love to see be able to contend for this title all the way through, and I think he's got the ability to do it. Again, I think there's at least probably going to be a thought process of as long as I can keep going, I will.
Yeah, for sure. We know, Jimmy Blewett told me at Myrtle Beach they're doing it basically race by race at this point and going to make whatever they can happen here.
Yeah.
He's only 8 points out of it, actually tied with Burt right now there for third in the championship. I'll tell you who's truly impressed me in this opening stage of the season, and that's Chris Pastriak, who's been
he really has.
In the top 10 in every race. He's got the fifth best average finish so far this season. He's averaging just better than a 7th place finish, and he's only 12 points back of Doug Coby, and that's a team that last year was one of the true independents on this NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, and that, to me, just speaks volumes about how much parity has injected itself into the tour, and really how far some of the independent teams have come with the LFR chassis that Rob Fuller's developed.
I think Chris and Chase Dowling, who's driving for Jamie Tomeno in the 99, who's a legend of the modified part of the sport that doesn't get nearly the credit he deserves.
No.
Those two, for me, are among the most pleasant reasons to really get into the tour.
Absolutely.
Chase is amazing. He is an amazing young competitor.
Definitely.
With that, we're going to step aside when we come back. Don't go away. We've got more of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety, right after this.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
Here at Lewis Meineke, we're more than just your average car care center. Hey, it's Dave, your neighbor from Lewis Meineke. Whether you need an oil change, brakes, tires, or anything under the hood, we've got you covered. Take advantage of our free check engine light service as well. Yes, free. And don't forget about our free shuttle service. Never stress, we'll take care of the rest. On with life. Give us a call at Lewis Meineke, 302-827-2054.
Everywhere you go, you hear it, and you see it. It's coming at you through your phone, your tablet, and your computer. It's broadcast from your favorite radio station, TV networks, and cable companies. It's in the stadiums, the arenas, the ballparks. It screams for your attention at the mall. It's interactive on Main Street. It's even coming at you from the gas pump at the nearby convenience store. What is it? It's digital content. It's digital content. It's digital content. Somebody has to create it. Somebody has to manage it. So whether your dream is to write it, design it, create it, call it, produce it, voice it, host it, light it, shoot it, switch it, record it, color correct it, edit it, code it, repurpose it, tweet it, blog it, post it, compress it, upload it, replay it, or make sure it gets to where it's got to go when it's got to get there in the format it's got to be in, you need to attend Carolina School of Broadcasting. The skills you will learn, the experience you will get, and the connections you will make at Carolina School of Broadcasting will open the doors to the career you want in digital content creation and digital content management. Call or come by today. Click csbradiotv.edu.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette, it's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
Hi, I'm Jesse Love, and you're listening to Race Chaser Radio. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsports safety. You can find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com, and we do appreciate their support. And another thing that I've appreciated for a number of years is Darrell Waltrip's participation in the sport and all that he's given, both from the driving standpoint and the team ownership standpoint, and then, of course, most recently from the broadcast standpoint. We talked in detail last week about his retirement.
Yeah.
I want to just jump ahead because on Friday afternoon they had a press conference at Bristol, and you were there in the room. Chris Murdoch, who's behind the glass working our video production, and myself were at Orange County Speedway, or up there for the Cars Tour race, which we'll talk about in the next segment. And they rained out everything on Friday, so we were sitting in the hotel room watching this, and you just couldn't help, even just watching it live from a distance, you couldn't help but feel the emotion that was in that room. I want to know from you, what was it like to be in that room with all of the Fox proper people and, of course, DW and his wife, Stevie? And did you get a chance at all to have any conversation with Darrell during the one-on-one session that followed?
Oh, gosh. So there was so much to unpack in that 30 to 45 minutes.
We got 10.
Yeah, I know. To answer your first question, the emotion was pretty insane.
I bet it was.
And I think the person who probably got all of us the most emotional when he made his remarks wasn't even Darrell himself. It was Mike Helton, who, credited Darrell with igniting his fandom even before he started working for NASCAR of the sport, and helping to build the sport in the way that he did when he was behind the wheel and at the height of his career. Some of Helton's comments really stuck out and stuck with me. Darrell was emphatic that this was not anything that was being forced on him to decide now. It was his decision. He had actually thought about it a couple times over the last couple of years, and Fox managed to keep talking him into coming back for a little bit longer. He said he was going to retire right before the end of the season, right before Jeff Gordon came on board, and made the comment that, I didn't want to leave Mike Joy with two newbies, so I hung around a little longer. And just, my gosh, he's, they didn't put a time limit on the session because, quite frankly, after everything Darrell Waltrip's given to the sport, he deserved all that time and then some to be able to say his piece and, just go through it and he's earned that right for everything he's given back to the sport. And what I took away from it during the one-on-one sessions is I got him to retell the story of how he came to love Bristol.
Yep.
And he said for him it was a speed and a driving style thing. Everybody hated it. Cale hated it, so he said I was going to love the place.
I've told that story many times on the show.
He loved it real quick and won 7 in a row and talked about the 7th one he probably shouldn't have won, but his pastor was there and he got to the lead and it started raining. And the pastor said, I was praying for no rain, Darrell, until you got to the lead. And once you got to the lead, I said, Lord, let it rain. He said,
cancel that sun.
Yeah, Darrell said, we probably shouldn't have won that one, but we won it anyways. But, he just felt like Bristol was the right place. It was his house. It still is his house, at least until Kyle Busch gets 5 more wins there.
Yeah. And he will.
I really do believe he will. They say all records are made to be broken, and Kyle's already up to 8, and he's got at least another 10 years to work with. He's going to keep doing what he's doing at Bristol, and I believe that record will be rewritten more than once before Kyle retires by Kyle. But, I thought it very fitting in a way that when Darrell asked who of the current driver crop reminded him of a younger version of himself, and he said point blank, Kyle Busch is the most exciting thing to watch in NASCAR today, and Kyle was the most exciting thing to watch on Sunday, and he won the race. I felt it was a really cool premonitionary moment there.
I feel like when you look at Darrell, people forget. When Darrell was younger, when he first came into Cup, people think about Kyle Busch and all the reasons why we don't, some of us sometimes don't like Kyle very much. Well, Darrell was that person when he came in. Now, Kyle's not sort of, Southern and Kentucky born and raised, and, he's not sort of the countrified version that Darrell was, but Darrell and Kyle, if you look at Darrell, younger Darrell, and, Kyle probably right up, up to today, and, so, and still at times, Jaws, talk, and brash and sassy, and I wasn't always a huge fan of Darrell early in those days as a driver, though I always did love the Gatorade 88 car.
Oh, that
and I love the Mountain Dew 11 car even more. But, I always respected Darrell, and Darrell always said what he thought, and he was always willing to take whatever, consequence there was to that. And then eventually, I think he learned, as we all do as we get older, he learned that there is some meaning behind the wisdom and have some tact, and kind of you could express a thought in many different ways, and he sort of learned how to do it a little better after Richard Petty poked him a few times. And so and as I got to know Darrell's brother Bobby, who passed away a few years ago, Bobby told me a lot of stories about Darrell and Michael. And some of them I will never tell on a radio show because they were just stories that Bobby told me, and I don't feel like, I should tell them on air. But I will say this: at Bobby's funeral, I had a minute or two to talk with Darrell, and it was kind of funny because Darrell point blank said, Bobby was the smartest brother, right?
Yes.
And he said, but he didn't always make the best choices. He told a story one day. They were all real young kids. Bobby was the middle brother. And, they went and they picked up this go-kart that they were buying or whatever, and they had on the back of the pickup truck. And, of course, Darrell and Michael jumped in the truck, and Bobby decided he wanted to ride on the go-kart. So, they're riding the back roads home, and all of a sudden they go over this bump. And Darrell says, next thing I know, he says, off the back of that truck goes the go-kart, Bobby with it. He says, we're riding down the road, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, where'd where did Bobby go? They go back, and there's, Bobby enrolled into the woods a little bit with a cart. He's just sitting there waiting for him to come back and get him, So
right.
Probably not the wisest, like he said. Doesn't always make the best decisions, but he was the smartest one of the bunch. And the reason I tell that story is because to me it's so emblematic of how Darrell tells the story and how he is that family was very close. And Darrell's retirement at this time I think has more to do with the new granddaughter he's got,
absolutely,
and the realization that I'm 72 years old, and you know what, I would personally love to do this again, but I don't think I should do this again.
Right.
And
he mentioned that granddaughter more than once in the press conference and
said,
I don't want her to have to not know me like my daughters didn't.
Right.
And,
Yep. Yeah, it changes you when you become a grandpa, I think. And that was the impression I got, too. And so, we certainly wish Darrell the best. And I knew that there had to be – that had to be a special time.
It was
to be in the media center.
Just for me to be able to sit with him for a couple minutes one-on-one and talk about the fairgrounds and how he's tried to support that, and then to talk about Bristol, his love of the place, and just where he feels like everything's at there now was special for me. It was just it was a humbling experience, and it was cool for me, and I told him as much when I shook his hand before he left on Friday. I said, from somebody who literally does not know what a NASCAR on Fox broadcast is like without your voice on it, thank you for what you've done for the sport. And he got, we were both a little choked up in that moment.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
I could tell he appreciated that, knowing that it's. People do realize what
absolutely.
He's given.
Yep, absolutely. With that, we will step aside, and when we come back, we'll talk Cars Tour, and then in our lightning round, we're going to talk a little bit about who would we replace DW with if we could, and we're also going to talk a little bit about the crowd at Bristol. So that's coming up here before the show is over as well. Stick around. You are listening to the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. Be back with more right after this.
Is your job sucking the life out of you? Wake up. You can do something else. Information technology. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not a math or science person. No excuses. No problem. It's not rocket science. It's my computer career. Helping people start an IT career is their thing. If you don't absolutely love what you do, go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You can start your new life as an information technology professional in as little as 4 months. Attend classes on campus or live online just 2 or 3 times a week to get what you'll need to start your new career. More than just a school, My Computer Career helps you get into the industry by working with hundreds of employers that hire their students. My Computer Career is nationally accredited, and financial aid is available for those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Classes start soon, so go take the career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
This is Paul Stanley from KISS for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. Some of us work months producing a CD, but in less time than it takes to play it, someone will be killed in an alcohol-related crash. So please don't drive when you've been drinking. Plan ahead. Arrange a designated driver. Remember, friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
This is Paul Stanley from Kiss for Rad, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. Some of us work months producing a CD, but in less time than it takes to play it, someone will be killed in an alcohol-related crash. So please don't drive when you've been drinking. Plan ahead. Arrange a designated driver. Remember, friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
This is Joey Logano, driver of NASCAR number 22 Discount Tire Car. You know something? You and I aren't all that different. I drive a car, you drive a car. My car has tires, your car has tires. I may be going just a little faster than you each weekend, but we both need to keep those tires properly inflated to stay safe. So be tire smart and do your part. Check your tire pressures once a month and before every long journey.
Visit BeTiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
Hi, I'm Tyler Dipple, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
As Jacob Dipples over here. We were supposed to have Tyler on a week or two ago, but he went to New York to run a big block modified. And you know what? I can't blame him. That's what I would do in my off time if I was Tyler Dipple.
I was going to say, he hasn't come home yet, and he's got a month off from running the truck. So he wanted to go back and run a few of the bigger dirt modified races up back home in New York. So he'll be
dippling around the dirt tracks of New York for a few weeks. Yeah,
indeed.
And there is nothing wrong with that. Oh, by the way, another driver who has been on the show and who has been running in the K&N Pro Series East, Max McLaughlin, just saw an announcement a little while ago before the show that he is actually going to drop into the Hickory Motor Speedway. I think it's this weekend to run the Mike Darr number 6 in the late model division.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, trying to keep his pavement skills progressing and get some more experience between K&N starts. So
very interesting.
If you're in the Hickory Motor Speedway area this weekend, be sure to go and check out the races and go say hi to Max McLaughlin. I'm sure it'll be fun. And there are some really talented racers at Hickory now, too.
Absolutely.
Speaking of short track racing in the South, Chris and I had the chance to go to the Cars Tour event over the weekend. $30,000 to win. The richest late model stock car race in history is how they build it, and I can't remember.
No, it is. Confirmed.
Yeah, I can't remember it. I remember one that ever paid $30,000 to win before. I got to tell you, it turned out, Jacob, to be. I think going in, we all had fears of 90 cars and a bunch of wrinkled sheet metal, and and carnage in the pits. But they had the car count didn't get out of the 30s, and that was probably disappointing in one way. And yet I think in another way, it actually made the show better. And that race was as good of a late model stock car race as I think I'll probably watch all year long. And we had some of the best, dicing it out right to the end. Mm-hmm. And, boy, it was fun to watch.
And the best of the best won the race.
Lee Pulliam. The champ.
I know. I love Lee. I really do. I hate to rag on Lee.
Uh-oh.
But I'm a little bummed here because this race was absolutely, for me, the fun just got spoiled. Because if you're going to put on a big money late model stock car race, I want to see a fun story win the money. And yet this, to me,
I think Lee thought it was a lot of fun. I'm sure he's...
Of course Lee thought it was a lot of fun, but to me...
Sure, his bank account enjoyed it too.
To me, when you look at the current landscape of late model stock car racing, it just felt like a case of the rich getting richer. No, it just... And listen, that's no disrespect to Lee at all. Lee is one of the nicest people 99.5% of the time.
When you're not hanging in the right side of his car trying to pull his spark plug or pull his
ignition wire.
Ignition wires,
Yeah, when you're not hanging in the side of the car, Lee Pulliam is a great guy.
Did you see the tweet that did you see what Lee did on the car this weekend? Did you happen to catch that?
No, I missed that.
He put a sign, a little text on the right side of the car that says "No passengers," which I thought was classic. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. look, I get where you're going, Jacob. I mean, obviously, it would have been a bigger story if,
Taylor Gray or
Adam Lemke, but and both of those drivers had their moments. I mean, Taylor,
they did.
Again, qualified up on the pole, and he led quite a bit of the race, and I think just didn't have it at the end. Still had a great finish, though, and,
Absolutely.
still is basically my pick at this point to win the Cars Tour Championship if he keeps going, and I can't see why at this point after the start he's had to the season how you pull him out of the car and don't run any more races. But I think going in that the thought was that this would be his last start. I can't believe that. I think Taylor is a full season racer for Cars.
Hang on a minute. Back up, because you just made me scratch my head. Where did that rumor come about?
I think Taylor actually was the one that told me that they weren't sure when he was on here. We had him on last week, I think, or the week before, and I think that he talked about he wasn't sure if they were going to run the full season, but I think Taylor needs to run the full season. But anyways, Taylor had a good run, and Adam Lemke was spectacular. Adam did not qualify well. We'll get back to the Taylor thing later.
Yeah.
Adam did not qualify well, but I think that, again, here's a driver out of California, only his third start in the Cars Tour, and he struggled at the end on a couple of restarts, missed shift a couple times because the transmissions are different in these cars versus the straight line transmission he runs out west. So he had a couple of fumbles, but he ended up finishing third. And let me tell you, it was fun watching him at the end try and hold off Josh Berry, who was on new tires, and Adam was on old tires.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was hoping Josh wouldn't actually rattle his cage, but they were racing tooth and nail, and Adam beat him for third place. And I think Josh was really happy for him, and I guess he told him after the race, I don't know how you did that, holding us all off on older tires. So,
right.
I think some people found out that Adam Lemke is going to be a driver to be reckoned with once he kind of puts all the pieces together and gets more experience there. So definitely I think a great run for Lemke, and again, a lot of young talent in the Cars Tour Series this year. Minnie Tyrell ended up with an 8th place finish, which was great for that team.
Yeah, no kidding. They needed that.
I think you've got a series right now that is up for grabs, in my opinion, at this point in the season on the late model side.
Yeah.
And that race, as far as I'm concerned, I hope they do it again. That race proved to be very successful. I don't know that they need the 3-day format. I think they could do it in 2, but that would be my only thing I would change. I think it was a fantastic race, and it was really refreshing. That crowd was it was a strong crowd and a very enthusiastic crowd. I thought it was a great day on Sunday.
Yeah. No, from all accounts I saw, it looked like a great day. Just looking at the point standings on the late model stock side, I don't think it's any surprise to see Josh Berry with 3 top 5s in 3 races and leading the points by 4. But much like we were talking about with some of the modified guys earlier in the show, a couple segments ago, if the rumors are true, and I don't believe they are, because when Taylor Gray was announced at DGR Crosley this year, the press release said he would race full-time in a late model stock car for DGR Crosley this year.
Okay.
It didn't specify a tour, I think, because they were waiting to see where he would shake out.
Well, and maybe that's what he was
points
referring to.
Before they made an official decision on what they were going to follow. But when you're sitting 4 points behind Josh Berry with a win under your belt, as far as I'm concerned,
how do you not?
Yeah. Exactly.
How do you not?
And the good news there is, I believe they've got at least a couple weeks to.
Yeah, May 3rd's the next one.
I was going to say the race at Ace.
Race at Ace.
Yep.
Ace is the place.
That'll be the first split weekend of the year. Because the late model stocks race at Ace on Friday night, and then the super late model challenge between the ARCA CRA Super Series and the Cars Tour runs at the fairgrounds
in
on
Nashville
Saturday.
Yep.
So they've got a couple, about a month here to regroup and get ready before, you would have to believe Taylor goes to Ace and takes another stab at it. But
I would think.
to only be 4 points behind Josh Berry at this juncture in the season at his age is damn impressive, if you ask me.
Brandon Pierce is right up there, another young driver who's run very well. Didn't have the kind of a day that he wanted to on Saturday, just because he was one of a few drivers several drivers really that got into incidents over the weekend, not of their own making. But it wasn't by any means a crash fest. But you've got some really good competitors there.
Defending champ in fourth.
Well, yeah, Bobby McCarty, who will be coming up on next Monday's show, I believe. We're going to talk to Bobby, and again, he had, much like Lemke and Trevor Ward and a couple of others, he put himself in a situation to be up there toward the end, and then unfortunately one of the shifts that Adam missed, Bobby ran into the back of him, and it did some damage to the 22. But he really is a driver that's obviously a strong local racer and is has proven that he can compete with the best in the Cars Tour as well.
I think, to me, what's really telling truly of how much bad luck Adam Lemke's had in the first handful of races this season is the fact that even though he finished third in Sunday's race, he still sits mired, tied for 13th in the championship, 44 points back of Josh Berry just after 3 races. That's more than a full race.
Well, it is, and it doesn't tell the story because he got taken out on the first lap of practice at Southern National by a car that had spun and come off the wall, and came down in front of him. He had to start and park another car, and then went to Hickory and was actually inside the top 10, raced inside the top 10, and got taken out in a couple of different accidents again, like everybody else did in that race. It was 2.5 hour crash fest, and then of course he goes to Orange County, a track he's never seen before, and it kind of took him all weekend to put it together in his head, but boy, once the race started, he just went forward and stayed out of all the the crap that did go on, and with a good pit strategy, put himself in position. So Adam has had, I think, a rough initiation, but he already has a win at Hickory in regular competition there. So I think Adam's a driver that's just going to get better and better and better as the season goes on. And I think the second half of the season treat him a lot more kindly than the first couple of races of the season did. If he can just get some more momentum and keep doing what he did the other day at Orange County, he'll be just fine in that Junior Motorsports second car. With that, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we go to our lightning round, and we've got a couple of interesting things to talk about. We're going to talk about who we think is who we would replace DW with in the Fox booth, which should be fun. And we're also going to talk Bristol crowd before we're done as well. Stick with us. More of the Stock Car Show coming up in a moment. HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schuberth helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing, making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper car, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. But every driver seeks the pinnacle of their achievements. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
Hi, I'm Cole Custer, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show on both PMN Radio, the Performance Motorsports Network, if you're listening to the live audio, and also our Race Chaser Media Facebook Live. And this is our lightning round, and Chris Murdoch wants to say something. So over to you, Chris.
We had some cold custard over the weekend.
We did have some cold custard. Yes, we did. And it was some delicious cold. Had a delicious chocolate milkshake at one of the media events on Friday at up in Orange County. I don't remember the name of the place, but boy, it was absolutely fantastic. Do you remember it, Chris?
Witt's Frozen Custard.
That's right, Witt's Frozen Custard. If you're near, in and around the Durham, greater Durham area.
Hillsboro.
Should have just given you the mic, let you do the segment. If you're in and around the Hillsboro, North Carolina area, go to Witt's Frozen Custard and check it out. I guarantee you'll thank me later.
I don't need to thank you. I've already had some.
It is fantastic, man.
Oh,
that was a fun night. One of the best milkshakes I've ever had.
I'm glad you've discovered it.
Yes. Well,
wonderful.
It's that'll be I think a regular occurrence at Orange County events when I go up there, if I'm up there for a couple of days and can get over there. Okay, so this is our lightning round where we do roundtable stuff, and so have a couple of topics here in 10, 12 minutes to get through them. So probably not as much of a deep dive as maybe we'd like to go with it, but I'm going to start with the topic of who replaces DW in the booth. Now, I don't want to know who you think Fox will choose to replace DW in the booth. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in who you would replace Darrell Waltrip with in the Fox booth. If you could make the decision, who would you put in the booth with Mike Joy and Jeff Gordon? And I'm going to start with Randy Miller on this, our producer, because we haven't let Randy say anything all night. We're sorry, Randy. We didn't mean that.
I'm at a crossroads right now, so I'm going to have to flip a coin and go with A.J. Allmendinger because my other pick was Jamie McMurray, but I like A.J. better. So I feel like A.J. would bring a lot to the discussion and a lot to the table, and I think he would get along good with Jeff Gordon and Mike Joy and all those guys.
So since Randy brought that up, this makes me ask. This is basically ignoring if you're basically allowing us to ignore if somebody's already signed with NBC or whatever.
Well, no, I think it has to be somebody that could do it. You can't pick Dale Jr. or anything like that. No.
All right. So, AJ's already under contract with NBC.
Oh,
so
that's right. I was thinking,
that is true.
I thought he was with Fox.
No, he's with he's with NBC.
That's right. That's Jamie.
Yes, Jamie's with Fox.
Okay, my bad.
So try again.
No, that's who I want. So,
okay.
Well,
all right. So
there are people that I would like to see, but obviously they're active drivers. I feel like Kevin Harvick or Jimmy Johns. Any of those guys would be great, but they're still active drivers, and that's not going to go over well. So,
okay, so you would choose. All right, so
that's my
fine. You
story
can open it up, but you can't pick Junior because he's not going anywhere.
Well, no, and AJ's not going anywhere either because of all the sports car and other stuff, you know, Supercross, other stuff that he gets to do with NBC. And I gotta say, I love seeing AJ get to do Supercross stuff right now.
Too.
He was so geeky on Twitter about it the other night. It was awesome.
AJ's a very energetic guy. I just think he's very good at what he does. Justin Sullivan in our chat, Steve Park. Wow. Now that would be fun.
That would be
a lot of fun to see Steve Park in the booth. I think
really
Steve would have some fun up there too.
So I have a driver who is currently working for somebody, but he's not in a TV role. So I'm going to say that this counts because I would pluck him out of his current radio role and plug him back into TV because he's done TV before and done it very successfully. I actually, if it were me pulling the strings at Fox, I would take Rusty Wallace and put Rusty Wallace back in the booth. Listen,
not happy with
I know.
that.
Listen, you may not be happy from an energy standpoint, but Rusty's gotten so much better since he went to MRN and had that experience.
I've heard him a few times,
and I honestly believe his perspective, kind of transcends the era that DW raced in and the era that Jeff raced in, and kind of brings it together because he was still racing in that midpoint 05, 06 type of a deal. But I always like listening to Rusty. Him or Dale Jarrett, but I can't pick Dale Jarrett because Dale's under contract at NBC.
Yeah, and I just see I want to go newer than that. I liked AJ Allmendinger because he's just out of the car and he's new. He's new to the broadcasting booth, and I think he would fit the energy and almost the outspokenness that you would want in a booth.
I know who you want, and I honestly believe Fox is going to have a hard time finding somebody better than who I really believe the obvious choice is, and I know this is what you're going to say, so I'll just say it, is Regan Smith.
That's correct. I think Regan Smith needs to be the guy in the booth, and again, he's had experience on working radio, doing commentary, and he's great at it. And the thing that Regan brings to this is he brings an attitude of he doesn't care. He cares what he says. I mean, he doesn't say anything but he's not afraid to be critical. He's not afraid to be honest, and he's not afraid to be kind of that guy, if you will. I don't always agree with Regan, and I like that about Regan, that I don't always agree with him. But I think him and Jeff would be a great dynamic in the booth. I think Regan is the perfect choice to replace DW. Now, again, who Fox chooses, we don't know.
Yeah.
But I hope they go younger, as in Regan or AJ, that kind of thing.
Well, again, they can't get AJ unless they're going to buy, AJ's
well, I'm
in
just
the first
saying,
year of a multi-year deal.
It's not that I dislike Rusty. I just don't. I think if you're going to replace a guy who was around in that area, you don't replace him with another guy who was around basically in that era. I think, again, Rusty has his point of view, and I think he's good for radio. I also think Kurt Busch has been great on radio. There's one of those. If Kurt retires, boy, oh boy, I would really have to take a look at Kurt Busch if he wanted to go to broadcasting.
You know what's interesting is the one TV. I can't remember which Fox Xfinity broadcast Kurt did last year. Maybe it was a truck broadcast, but I loved listening to him on TV, and he did say he would be interested in doing broadcast after he got done in the car. So to me, that would be a very intriguing, if he retires at the end of this year, Kurt would be a very intriguing option.
Yeah, I think so too, Randy. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but I think Kurt would be really interesting. Again, him and Jeff would be an interesting dynamic, and Kurt has a really, really detailed way of explaining things when he's talking in that way.
Yeah, Kurt came to mind actually whenever you guys were talking about Regan Smith, but somebody else that just came to my mind out of the blue, and I think I say this because from an entertainment standpoint it'd be hilarious, but that would be Tony Stewart.
That'll never happen.
Would allow that to happen. But he would be pretty funny.
It wouldn't be Fox that wouldn't allow it to happen. It would be Tony that wouldn't allow it to happen because he's too busy running his sprint car.
That's very true. And Carl Edwards is another guy too. I think Carl would, if he was, enticed into coming back.
Yeah.
I don't think he would, but that would be great.
Carl, and I was actually, funnily enough, I was talking to Randy Fuller, who for many, many years was Carl's PR person on the NASCAR side, and Randy was talking to me over the week because he and Carl talk regularly on other business stuff, and Randy was telling me that Carl legitimately, he knows he's going to have to come back one day when he goes into the Hall of Fame, but other than that, he really has no desire to be around the
back
sport
in the spotlight
in any capacity.
Can we just amend the thought of Tony Stewart in the booth at Fox to, can we get Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart just for a segment or two during the Chili Bowl broadcast?
Oh, my
Can
God.
we get those two together?
Yes, please.
Can we get Tony just to come up for a segment or two? Everybody hand their mics over to those two and let them call a little bit of the Chili Bowl.
Let him do it at Eldora during the Mudslinger, the truck race at Eldora.
The Dirt Derby.
Sure, even
Dirt
better.
Derby,
Yeah. I think that would be a dynamic that would be hilarious to listen to. Okay, we've got just a couple minutes here. So last question. The crowd at Bristol, everybody blaming the product. Maybe that has something to do with it. But
how can you blame the product? The race.
Here's what I want to know, and I'm going to open this to either one of you to give me an answer that confuses me. If the product's that bad, why does Watkins Glen sell out every year? Why is the crowd at Daytona so strong every year? Why is the crowd, actually the crowd at ISM was very strong this year. Vegas gets a good crowd. Pocono gets good crowds despite the fact that I think the racing there is not always, nearly as good as it even is on the, 1.5 miles. What's the deal with this?
The deal is and I'm probably going to get hate mail for this, but I don't care because it's time somebody in our position said it. It's the fan base wanting to complain. So much of the NASCAR fan base right now is toxic.
Yeah,
for the
I feel
sport.
like that too.
And I feel like there's so much negativity from all these people. It's driving people away from the racetrack, and that shouldn't happen. What the race I saw at Bristol, those who actually came out to Bristol on Sunday saw one of the best races I've seen in probably 6 or 7 years. Easily the best race at Bristol that I've seen since I started covering the sport from a media standpoint. And the fact that Randy, that there's people that want to try and accuse the product of being lackluster and the reason people aren't showing up when that race was tremendous is just a sorry excuse, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's happening, not just with NASCAR, but it's happening, all over any media thing that happens. Somebody stands up and says, well, I don't. They mistreated me. I don't like that. And so it's like monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
So one person does it, and then everybody says, "Oh, well, if they don't do it, then I can't do it either." Or if they hate NASCAR, I have to hate NASCAR because they hate NASCAR. And it just becomes this huge, egotistical thing where if one person hates something, everybody else in the world has to do it because, if they're going to jump off a bridge, I have to jump off too. And that's what's going on. It happens with news stories. It happens, all over society. It's just the way that society works now, that everybody feels entitled, and if one person does something, everybody else has to do it.
Here's the deal for me. You have a limited quantity of hotels. We've
got to get the cost.
Hotel owners are getting $300 a night.
We've got to get the cost of being able to actually go to a race weekend.
But you can only do so much about that. You can't make the airlines stop gouging. You can't make hotels stop gouging. I will say that I do believe, obviously, NASCAR has had, in terms of the shows that they put on, NASCAR has had an issue with side-by-side racing and passing. But I'm going to tell you, I think this is Bristol-specific. The only explanation I get is Bristol-specific, and I think it's because a number of people now have gotten to the point where they just don't like side-by-side racing at Bristol. They want the bump-and-run stuff, and they're just not going to support anything else. Well, you know what? NASCAR has a situation right now where next year you get Bristol, Martinsville, and you get the Roval for the 3 playoff cutoff races. If the fans don't want to support it, then so be it. The ratings are up far as I'm concerned, not much NASCAR can do right now except keep trying to work on the product. You just can't please all the fans. Close us out.
Exactly. With that, we need to scram on out of here. Thanks to HMS Motorsport, strutmasters.com, and mycomputercareer.edu for what they do to make this show possible. For Tom Baker on this side of the camera with me, and for Randy Miller and Chris Murdoch behind the camera, I'm Jacob Seelman. Keep it off the wall, folks, and if you're headed to a racetrack, we might just see you there. Have a safe racing weekend. Good night.
You've been listening to the Stock Car Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stay tuned to Performance Motorsports Network for more race talk. For the latest motorsports news, visit racechaseronline.com. The Stock Car Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com. A member of the Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week when the Stock Car Show returns on Thursday night at 7 Eastern. Until then, stay tuned for more great motorsports programming on the Performance Motorsports Network.